All right.
All right, so it's I'm very happy to meet you all here in a very small group, and I think it'll be helping us to have really a good conversation together. So I'm happy also to be with Thomas in this talk with a lot of nice people around the world. And well, I think since we are in a small group, you can basically stop us anywhere, anytime for further discussion. Because I'm not going to do a big presentation anyway. Thomas and I agree that we probably try to share something like more casual and fun. Did we? Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So my name is Phuong. I'm the founder of the organization Center for Sustainable Development in Vietnam. And Thomas, can you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody, or good evening, wherever you are. My name's Thomas Morgan, and I'm the executive director of the IPSL Global Institute at NUNM. Yeah, nice to meet you all. Thanks for showing up.
Okay, so would you like to introduce yourself a little bit? Because we have only, for now, it's only 6 people in the room. So it's a good, really good chance for us to know each other better. So Carla, you want to say a bit more about yourself?
Yes, sure. Well, nice to meet you all. So as I was saying, I'm based in Quito, Ecuador. I've been working on the inbound and outbound programs for the past 18 years. And well, sending Ecuadorians abroad on some programs and also receiving students, mainly from the US and some countries in Europe as well. So we organize service learning programs. We work with local communities. Well, since 2018, very focused on collaborating and planning our programs considering the SDGs. Okay, so you know, mainly for quality education and sustainability, travel with sustainability consciousness, and elaborating all the activities for our students in a sustainable way. So that's what we do. We organize these cultural exchange experiences also with homestays, with local host families, Spanish courses, and service learning activities. Faculty-led programs in specific issues. We customize the trips according to the faculty needs. And yes, well, since last year, we developed also the virtual internships. And now that it's possible to travel again, we are mainly in the Galapagos Islands. It's almost 90% of the population is being vaccinated already. So some measures of we had use of masks and these type of issues are taken out since the next couple of weeks, and we are starting to receive again tourism, tourism, and hopefully students soon. And yes, that's what we do. Yeah, we'll be glad to find collaboration opportunities here, and yes, and keep in touch, right?
Thank you very much, Carla, for your very detailed introduction. I also see here Jose Luis, but not really appearing here. Are you happy to join us with your introduction, or are you hearing us? So maybe he is not listening to us anyway. Patrick and Catherine, would you like to introduce briefly about yourself, or should we move ahead?
I'd like to just contextualize the program that we're doing right now. Thank you, Jose Luis. We see your message. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I'm the program director of People, Places, Things, a business here in Portland, Oregon. We provide intercultural programming, primarily language learning for immigrants and refugees, and teacher training for English speakers who want to teach English in a culturally responsible way. I'm involved in a master's degree program with IPSL that Thomas is a part of, and that's how I met Phuong as well in winter. This is a grant. It's actually the second funding from a grant, Department of State grant called the Citizen Diplomacy Action Project, and we won some money to create a conference in September where we brought together a lot of global exchange organizations and language learning organizations to sort of strategize and talk about how we would emerge from the pandemic, how we were responding to the pandemic. Carla, I met you then. And then a few months later, we decided to go check back in with everybody. And that's what this program is. The workshops that we're doing here, we have 6 or 7 of them. This is the 5th, I think. We have one more next week. Are listening to global exchange and language learning organizations, particularly as they've developed a hybrid programming, and how we're integrating that. Will we have hybrid exchange programs in the future? How have we had to transition, and how are we going to emerge? And I'm excited to hear from you, Phuong, about how CSDS is doing that. And Catherine, you want to say a little something?
Just kind of want to say I'm pretty interested on all these sessions that we've been doing. I'm an international studies major, and Patrick said I just graduated. So anything that we're learning that's international related is always very interesting to me.
Oh, thank you very much, Catherine and Patrick. Our sharing today is about global exchange and service learning in the pandemic, and I'm sure that we are all in the situation we have to be very cautious with. And I want to start the section with a very simple small game. And if you are ready, I can start. It's on Mentimeters, so I will be sharing my slide now. So okay. I think with Mentimeters you can play also on your screen without using your extra device. Do you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So basically you go to menti.com. I will share the link now also on the chat box. So you can join the game and then answer the questions. Okay, do you see the link? And you see also the code of the game? You can sign in, you can just join in and then play. Are you playing, Thomas? Okay, so we have one answer already. So which statement is not correct regarding COVID-19 situation, more or less? So in the US, there are about like 30 million cases and about 600,000 people have died because of COVID-19. Germany, about 3,500,000. Vietnam, about 14,000 cases with 70 deaths. India is that. So we have 3 answers already. Who are missing? Do you have any problem joining?
Oh, there's a fourth.
Okay, so let's see. We have 4 answers already. So the correct answer is India. There are actually 30 million cases, not only 20. So they are only the second behind the US. Vietnam has totally 14,000 cases so far and about 70 deaths. So next questions. So the next question is, at this moment, which countries are not open for tourists without entry restrictions? Oh, it's very fast. I got only 2 answers. Let me check.
It didn't let me vote, Phuong. It moved on before I had a chance to vote. But I would vote.
Really?
I would
I'm
vote
sorry.
for. I think Vietnam is the answer.
Well, actually, Vietnam is the answer. We are still very close. The border is still is closed for international travelers. With of course some exceptions. But I have checked that all other countries like Costa Rica, Poland, and Ghana are open for tourists without any restrictions. So even like quarantine is not required, which is very interesting. As you can see that Vietnam has very, very few cases, but we are very cautious and very careful in having foreigners coming in. And this is also a big challenge for organizations like ours who are doing global exchange and service learning. Next one. Okay, this is the last question though. For those who are doing global exchange, you may guess the ratio of females and male volunteers in the international exchange program worldwide. Ooh, 1 answer, 2 answers, 3 answers. Okay, 4 answers. And 2 choose 70-30 and 2 choose 80-20. And actually it's in our experience, it's actually 80-20 ratio. A lot of girls and women wants to go abroad, but male boys are very limited. So I hope those questions are somehow good introduction to what we are going to talk about today, global exchange and service learning. And we are all affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And now I think it's time for our friends, Thomas, if you want to go ahead, giving a bit more introduction about IPSL and your organization and your work.
Absolutely. Thank you, Phuong. I enjoyed that game. I'm going to include some of those on our upcoming webinars. I like that interactivity. Good morning or good evening or hello, everybody. My name is Thomas. Again, for those of you who already, but I see there's a new person. Excuse me, Thomas Morgan. I'm the executive director of the IPSL Global Institute at NUNM. IPSL, which originally stood for the International Partnership for Service Learning, has been in existence for actually for 40 years. This is our 40th year. We started in 1981. And we are one of the founding organizations of the service learning movement. The two people who started it were Linda Chisholm and Howard Berry. They were educators from Rockland County, New York, which is a place just north of New York City on the Hudson River. And at the time, their idea of the possibility of learning outside of a classroom was anathema in academia. It was not accepted uh, by universities, and it took many years for them going around and talking with professors and administrators at universities to kind of promote and sell this idea of service learning. That our contention has always been that those experiences in the field of hands-on learning can be examined with the same set of critical thinking skills that you use with traditional learning methods. And so that is what we have been doing these 40 years, not only running programs, but also kind of, preaching the gospel about service learning, like trying to teach people to how to do it ethically, how to do it well. And now, of course, 40 years later, many people are doing service learning. Colleges teach courses on service learning. Professors and instructors include service opportunities in their curriculum, from the sciences to humanities. And we're super excited about that, and to see the pedagogy grow over time. And we have, like everybody else, we've changed with the times. We have redesigned our programs. The type of programs we offer are probably very similar to those of you who have been involved with service learning programs. We have customized, faculty-led, short-term, for credit, non-credit, but we also have, and this is fairly unique, two graduate programs. And Patrick, our host, is a student in our graduate program currently. And those graduate programs have been in existence since about 1994. And the two degrees are International Development and Service and Community Organizing and Social Activism. And like, oh, sorry, that's my cat. Like everything that we do, our graduate programs are a mix of academic coursework and then hands-on service around the world with our partners. And Phuong and his organization, the Center for Sustainable Development Studies in Hanoi, Vietnam, is one of our partners. And we've been working together for a number of years now. More recently, we've gotten involved in the area of research. And what I mean by that is research as an extension of this notion of service to communities. Because as many of you know, these NGOs and grassroots organizations where students perform volunteer service often do not have the resources to conduct program evaluations or gather the type of data that they need to be able to continue to solicit funding from governments or from foundations. And so we came up with the idea about 7 or 8 years ago with a program, or a part of our programming, called advocacy research. And this research now is a big part of what we do. And so in addition to kind of hands-on service, students now can go abroad and conduct ethical research in these communities based on questions that the organizations have said they need. So this isn't research imposed by us. This is research that we know the organizations need, because we go out and we query them, we ask them, what do you need? What type of data sets do you need? What type of program evaluations do you need? What kind of information do you need to continue to provide the services that you provide to your communities? And so they come up with the research questions, they come up with the protocol, and then that whole process gets kind of vetted and reviewed by an IRB, a global IRB called Ethos, that we're associated with, to make sure that the research is culturally appropriate, legal, and ethical. Recently, we had, just as the pandemic broke out, we have a program in South Africa, and we were working on a research grant with our partners there. And we had a student from Butler University helping us conduct this research in Cape Town, South Africa. And his term was from January until late April of 2020, which is exactly when everything kind of blew up in all of our faces. And so at the time we had to scramble to bring all of our students back to the States. As you all remember, it was a bit chaotic. And this one young man whose name is Dakota was almost finished with this program. He came back at the end of March. So he had a good 2.5, 3 months in country. But he talks a little bit about his experience on the IPSL program, and it's just a short 1-minute clip, but I think it encapsulates a little bit of kind of everything that we do and kind of who we are as an organization and who we hope always to be. Because our type of programming is not for everybody. There's regular garden variety study abroad, and then there's more engaged kind of immersive experiences, which is what we have always tried to do. So I'm just going to show you a quick clip. And this presentation actually was the beginning of the work with Patrick, which started way back when. And this, what we're doing right now, is kind of phase 2 of that whole conference that went on. And so anyway, I'll show this short clip and then we'll continue. Hopefully you can see that.
My name is Dakota. I was a student researcher that was in Cape Town with SA through IPSL. Currently a senior at Butler University in Indianapolis. So that's where I'm at now. I knew for sure that I wanted to do a study abroad program coming into college immediately. I hadn't been out of the States too much, so I was ready to take that experience. I didn't, but I knew for me, I really wanted to get into the culture of a place. I really wanted to get to know the people of the place, and mostly for me, I wanted to hear the stories from the people that live there. That's a huge thing to me. I'm a huge storyteller. I love to tell them, and I love to hear them. And IPSL was really about that. It was a small, you're put out of your comfort zone. I definitely was. And everyone knows you grow outside of your comfort zone. You don't change, you don't discover new parts of yourself, playing things safe. And I think I came back, I'm a biology major. Originally, I wanted to do hard research in wet labs. And I came back thinking, no, like that's great change. It's important work, but social justice is where I'm supposed to be. And that is entirely because of this trip. And entirely because of the people I saw and the conversations I had and the way that I changed. Because of that.
All right. Can you hear me again?
Yes,
Okay.
that was a nice clip.
Yeah, it was much longer, but we edited it. And so, yeah, so that's IPSL. That's what we always endeavor to do, is to make people rethink or explore their future options, and to do it with an open heart and an open mind.
Well, thank you very much, Thomas. I don't know if you have any question for Thomas. I mean, some quick questions before we move again, and I'm sure that at the end there would be space for more questions. Okay, so if not, then I'm very happy to present you a very quick slide about our organizations, and then we move to what we have been doing, especially with IPSL in the pandemic time to try to overcome the challenges that we are facing now, and later we will be talking about the potentials, the futures that we are seeing at this moment. Even it is quite gray for the moment, but there are some good light at the end there. So let me share my screen, only 2 or 3 slides, so don't worry. Can you see my slide?
Perfect.
So it's only a big pictures of the, it's actually the very last public event that we could organize in October 2019 before the COVID-19 came in. So the this public event was organized in cooperation with the United Nations and the Irish Embassy and other organizations. We gather almost 1,000 young people in Hanoi to celebrate global volunteering and to celebrate service work that young people are doing in Vietnam. This is also the opportunities when we actually present an award to some young youth-led organizations in Vietnam who have done a lot of work to the community. So we call it Youth Driver for Change Award. So basically our organization is a non-profit one, and we are about like 10 years old with a vision of a society in which people are empowered to make innovative contribution to the sustainable world, which is very big one, huge one. But our mission is to provide opportunities and support for people, especially young people, to ignite their potential, to make positive change for themselves and for the community. So we emphasize that the positive change has to be made for everyone and also for the whole communities as a whole. So because for us, volunteering is two ways. It's on one hand helping others, helping the communities in it, but on the other hand, it is good learning experience for the volunteers themselves. So that's why our organization, we work with two big hands of activities. On one hand, we work with international volunteers through our global exchange program. And on the other hand, we work with a lot of local volunteers in our youth empowerment program. So if you look on the right, I would mention more about the local youth volunteers program, the youth empowerment program, because we, in Vietnam, the volunteering movement is expanding very quickly. Many young people want to do service, want to do volunteering to support the local communities. But it is very like random. So people just, maybe some people group up and then organize by themselves, some follow others. And we think that, you know, they are very motivated, they are very talented, very creative and dedicated. However, they are young and they lack capacity, lack of skills. So what we do is to offer them, to provide them with opportunities for capacity building through transformative learning and through mentoring and coaching support for them from our network. And we also facilitate their connection. So every year we organize, you know, like youth forum in which young people can meet and share their ideas, find partners to work for the communities. And we believe that when they do all of those things for the communities, they gain a lot of knowledge, skills, and develop a lot of capacity for themselves, for their own personal growth. And we believe that when they are young, they are active, and when they get older, they will still keep their activeness in life. On the other side, we are working with international volunteers, international students from different countries to Vietnam. We actually do inbound and outbound, but the inbound part is a lot bigger than outbound. Every year we send about 150 young Vietnamese abroad to different countries in Europe, in Asia, and sometimes even in the United States. For the incoming, if like before the time of COVID-19, we actually welcome about 600 international volunteers and students from more than 20 countries around the world to Vietnam. And what we do is to provide them with support and training and learning opportunities so that their service part is structured, is organized to ensure the maximum level of learning and experiments in the program. So some of the, many of the volunteers, they come just to do volunteers and service, but some others, especially from IPSL, they come and they join our academic courses in the universities or courses offered by our organization. But at the same time, they are engaged in service activities in the local communities, or sometimes they do advocacy research and community research. So because our organization is also small, but thanks to our strategy, we feel like we have extended length that help us to reach communities and help to address community problems. So basically our team do not always, work with the communities directly and solve the problem. Instead, we work with our volunteers, local and international volunteers, and they are the change makers, they are the change agents who help to address the problems. And that makes our organizations strong, and that makes our work be meaningful for that. And finally, we believe that all of our volunteers who go through our program, they become inspiring global citizens, and that they can inspire many others in service part. So this is what we are doing, and some of the pictures, just briefly. Thank you very much for your attention, and I leave the space for questions and discussion. But I can see here that Carla is doing more or less like the same, like what we are doing here, and we may have a lot of things in common.
Yes, Phuong, right? Yes, I find it the programs very, very similar. And well, I was about to ask you, what do you feel in Vietnam is the main component of your program that makes your service learning experiences different for international volunteers? I don't know, maybe cultural living with homestays, or what do you feel makes your program different for the students?
I think beside the fact that Vietnam is very attractive to people, I think every country, other countries has the same, strengths for that. So in Vietnam, as I said, that we make things structured. So basically, the program that we offer the opportunities for students and volunteers to be in a process so that they can be supported, they can be encouraged, they can be challenged to do and learn from doing things. So we don't simply tell them everything, of course, but we create the opportunities, the space for to facilitate their self-learning and peer learning as well. A lot of volunteers and students who come to Vietnam, they appreciate the fact that we have a lot of local volunteers, Vietnamese volunteers, who work with them, interact with them, learn from them, and also teach them a lot of things through the exchange. And I think this is important because most of our international volunteers and students are pretty young, and they seems to be more open when they meet with the people of the same age they seem to be more open in talking with them. And it is very good entry point for the students, for the volunteers to learn more about the local communities, to understand how things go around with the communities through young people. And I think that kind of structure help us to guarantee the quality of the program and somehow attract more students and international volunteers to join us.
Have you received students from Latin America in Vietnam?
And I think 4 years ago, we had 2 Colombian volunteers.
That's great.
And I think 5 from Honduras. So we do have volunteers from Latin America, which is somehow not easy, as you know, because of our distance and because of our difference in language and culture. But we do have that. Thanks to the network of partners that we have. We have partners in many countries, and IPSL is one of the great partners that we have so far that send students in our academic service learning program. Many other volunteers such come for regular volunteers or country exchange activities, but we believe that service learning is one of the potential trend for now and of course for the future, because students, when they join this program, they can not only contribute in service learning, but they learn a lot through the academic courses. And it's good because it's structured in the program that IPSL is offering.
Thank you.
Maybe Thomas, you want to share a bit more about the partnership, or
Yeah.
how we came to work together?
Yes.
But before that, I just mentioned that, you know, we work with partners. We don't actually work directly with the student or volunteers. I mean, we don't recruit directly. So we rely all on partnerships. We trust on our partners who are doing marketing, who are doing recruitment and training before they come. We do the field work here to make sure that, you know, the volunteers and students are happy with what we support them over here.
Mhm.
Yeah, Thomas.
Great, thank you, Phuong. So we've been working we've known Phuong for probably 7 years, maybe. And we used to have a program in Thailand, and we were there, and by some connection, Phuong found out about us and said, "Hey, I'm from Vietnam. Would you ever, be interested in working with us?" And actually flew to Thailand to meet with us. So we actually met in Thailand and started the conversation and really hit it off for all the reasons that you might guess. Um, Hearing his presentation about CSDS and kind of where their heart and soul is and what their goals are for their communities, that was a really good fit with IPSL. So we immediately started putting the pieces together to create a program opportunity for students in Vietnam as well. And fast forward, it's not only a place where we send students for varying lengths of time, it's also one of our key partners in our graduate programs. So our graduate students go to Hanoi and work with CSDS and the community at large on a whole host of projects, and they take some very interesting courses that we've developed in collaboration with CSDS. Courses like global health and the environment, sustainable tourism, of course, Vietnamese language, which I really want to learn. So I'll talk to you afterward about that, Phuong, because I need to take some Vietnamese lessons. So anyway, if we want to jump into kind of how we shifted in early 2020, all of this work, as you know, needs to go on. It isn't like we can stop serving students and supporting students. It isn't like we can stop supporting our community organizations, but we had to figure out ways to do it without physically being together, which if for all of us, I'm sure is really difficult because we are people. We like to be around people and with them. And that's where I get a lot of my inspiration for my life is through connections with others. And so, but at the beginning, as I mentioned, everything was kind of chaotic. We didn't know much about this pandemic. We didn't, it was quite terrifying. And so we just brought everybody home and then we waited and we tried to figure out what to do next. But it wasn't very long when we realized, okay, we have these tools, we have technology, we have ways of rethinking what we're doing. And so we had to be innovators again, as we like to consider ourselves. And so what we did is we did the pivot. We pivoted from in-person to online learning and online service. I'm going to ask Phuong to talk a little bit about one of the particular projects that he launched so that students could continue to support a section of the community in Hanoi. And that continues to this day, excuse me, with our graduate students supporting an organization. And do you want to talk a little bit about that, Phuong?
Thanks, Thomas. Actually, it is what we had to do in the time of COVID, because since last March 2020, I mean, all of our volunteers went home, and we don't have any volunteers, any students at this moment. So, but we wanted to continue to support our community. So we decided to develop a project called B Talk, basically virtual talk or Vietnamese talk or whatever, to help children and students from Vietnam to learn English through conversations and talk with our students abroad. So it is of course not ideal all the time to have English lesson through internet, but this is we do not have other ways to do. But unfortunately, it is also a good way, because when we do things online, we can actually reach children from mountainous area, children from other places rather than the location, the place where we base. So it is in the end, it's like a good chance for us to do even more meaningful work for the community. And we are still maintaining that. So since we launched last year, we have totally 200 volunteers and students, international students, engaged with us in the program. And it is one-to-one talk teaching. So we haven't been able to serve a lot of children, only 300 children, but they have really like strong connection with the international students, and they became very motivated in learning, and I'm sure that it is a good start for them to do that. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we do in response to the pandemic. The other things we do in order to survive, to maintain our operation, is to focus more on local volunteers. Before as I said, that we support local volunteering, we provide them training, but we don't really engage in coordinating their services. We support them, we train them so that they can do it better by themselves. But since last year, we started to do a new project engaging 50 Vietnamese students to do services for 1 year. So they have to commit to the project for 1 year, at least 4 hours per week, continuously. And you can see this is not an easy thing, because if you are an international student or volunteers and you come to Vietnam, you are engaged. You are somehow tied to what you are doing here with your courses, with your volunteer work. But for students in Vietnam, they have many other things to do. Of course, they still have to go to university or do their exercise. committing 4 hours per week, every week is not an easy task. But we believe that if we do so, we can not only continue to support the communities in need through education activities, social welfare, but we can also somehow train our young people to be committed, to be more committed, to be more active in community service. And then they become also better for themselves. They become more well organized. They become more committed to what they are doing. And not only that, we give them opportunities for further trainings, for skills that they can, for example, they have to learn skill, how to work with children, how to organize activity with children. And one more thing is that we engage them, we connect them with our mentors. We have a group of mentors, about 50 people who are working in university, businesses, in NGOs, and they give the opportunities for the volunteers to meet with the mentor through small talk or one-to-one mentoring. And the students, they learn a lot from that. And we could actually get some support, financial support from the big corporation here. So the student also receive some stipend, like a scholarship for their work if they complete the whole program. So this is an alternative to what we are doing. And because of COVID-19, we had to do that. But now I think even if life comes back, we will still continue to do that, because I think it's important to support the local volunteers, local students, at the same time like we do that with the international students and volunteers.
Thank you, Phuong.
I would like to take a second just to invite Carla, since you're with us in a small group, how did Get Ecuador change during this time? If you don't mind me inviting you to speak a little bit.
Yes, yeah, sure. Actually, we are service providers, quite similar as the work Phuong is doing. And also we did, last year, we did start our virtual internships, as I mentioned at the beginning, virtual internships for students on their second, third, or fourth year of a university, and graduate students as well. So we connected them, since we have our local companies, startups, organizations receiving in-person interns. We also developed this option virtually. So it has been great for local organizations, mainly startups, to keep working with international students and in different areas. It's communication, tourism, sustainable tourism, hospitality, in various areas. And also we started developing these sites called the volunteer teaching program. As you know, for local families, it was really challenging and hard to have kids at home and parents becoming teachers. And many of them didn't have perhaps English, a good English level, or many don't even knew, the parents didn't learn English when they are younger, so they are not able to help their kids. So we matched an international student who helped a family with the English lessons in the afternoon. So it was virtual teaching for the students and international student with one host family here in Ecuador. So it was really great because our host families wanted to keep connected as they were not able to receive students home. but they were able to keep connection with international students, having their kids learning English. Actually, parents also learning and skills in English, and it was really fun to have that. So it was a good also, you know, call it experience and like opportunity in the pandemic to develop this connection. And as Phuong was saying, it was the opportunity to help some areas where perhaps we didn't reach before, because also technology, the internet service connection was better, has been becoming better here in Ecuador since last year. So it's possible to also connect international volunteers in English teaching and conversation with local families. So that was like a new program we started last year, virtual internships. And actually, you know, we feel these also webinars, cultural webinars in Ecuadorian cuisine, in salsa lessons, Spanish lessons, like classes during these during the virtual internship. For example, we give one class of salsa at once a week, or one class of Spanish lesson, according to the needs of the volunteers. So it was really nice also to keep connected our local teachers in different areas, and other professionals connected with international students.
Thank you, Carla. That's such a great idea to keep your host families connected and to be of service to them during that time. That's a super great innovation. I like that a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yes, and no, congratulations, Phuong, also because keeping local volunteers, local students motivated for a year, it's hard. Yeah. We also work with local students, but mainly for summer camps. With you know, for short times, as then when they are at university, it's you know, harder to keep their time and commitment. Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. And in Vietnam, we cannot actually organize a homestay. So it's a big missing part in our program. We hope that one day things could become easier, and we could learn a lot from you when working with the host families as well. At this point, as I said, that Vietnam is still closed for foreign travelers, but we are hoping that things will be under control soon. You know that we don't have a lot of vaccines, and we are not sure whether the vaccination could be done maybe this year or not. So probably it may continue for another year for us in this challenge time. And but we do see the bright future ahead. You know, a lot of students, a lot of volunteers are just waiting to come and to go. So on one hand, we are struggling because we have to find a way to maintain our team, because we don't want to spread away, so that until when a lot of volunteers and students are coming, we do not have anyone to work with them. It is not a good preparation, but maintaining the team in the current situation is not an easy task.
If I could invite the everybody to turn towards the future, and Phuong, you're already kind of heading in that direction. The Vietnamese case is an interesting one, almost unique worldwide because of the intensity of the border closing. But how do you see yourself emerging? And I think what people will want to understand better is, what kinds of things will you be likely to keep, and how will you be different when we emerge? And I invite everybody to talk about it.
Yeah. I think COVID-19 has made us to rethink a lot in what we are doing and the way we are doing things. Seriously, I mean, we probably become or need to become more serious in choosing our ways of life and choosing ways of doing things. And as I said, that for us, we had some new ideas that we piloted, we tested during COVID time, and it can continue to be done in the new normal. And also uh, in the, for example, in the global health course, we are already thinking or discussing with the professors about adding or restructuring our course is to address um, the the topic of emerging pandemics in the new context as well. So I think that we what we will maintain is the strong partnership that we have with our partners, because we have seen that during the crisis, partners help us to survive, and we have to work together better in order to make things work together better, and that's important.
Thanks, Phuong. I think for the IPSL side, we are, as of about 2 years ago, part of a local university that in itself is innovative, and they call themselves innovative disruptors in the field of medicine. And I think that's a good fit for IPSL. And I think for me professionally and personally, working within that larger framework of higher education in the US, higher education globally, my goal would be to continue that level of innovation and thinking outside the box, because as all of you know, colleges and universities typically do not make decisions quickly, whatever the decision is. But during this pandemic, it was amazing to see very bureaucratic systems like higher education in the US shift immediately and allow people to do things differently and to test things differently and to try new things. My hope is that we can keep that and then we can take that with us. Not that everything we were doing before was bad or needed improving or whatever, but just to continue to be innovative and to not become so rigid about our field and our profession.
Well, now for me, for Get Ecuador, we have, I share with you both also, we have been trying, adapting our programs for to of course, online alternative, and we hope to keep also the programs as hybrids. Because we think that it's really important to prepare our students before coming to Ecuador. And it's a great way doing these virtual workshops, as a preparation for them and before coming to the country. And also, I think it's a great what Thomas shared, because it was really hard before the pandemic to have institutions be open, perhaps to connect directly with local providers on, to facilitate courses or programs. I mean, the decision was it takes perhaps 1-2 semesters or longer, right? It takes a while for them to accept local providers, perhaps as we are, so far apart and we haven't met, perhaps in a conference or any other way. But I think that this way to connect also has gave this possibility to have a more close connection with international educators, with colleges, universities, and make processes somehow faster. So I hope we keep having this, right? And yes, and for our programs, also continue developing sustainable activities. And as I was mentioning, also for us, the SDGs accomplishment also is really important. So including a sustainable experience and a way of traveling for us is very important to contribute locally and globally. So yeah.
Thank you. And I think I'd like to bring us to a close. I appreciate the, even being able to pivot in this situation to a kind of a public conversation or a public dialogue between people in multiple different countries here, talking about how the pandemic has affected our work. And this conversation will continue to be used as a curriculum that I'm working on developing as I develop my master's program within the context of IPSL, and really try to lean into this space, this hybrid space, acknowledging that there are benefits and trade-offs that I believe that the human race needs, and that we need. The opportunity, like what you mentioned, Phuong, about being able to work with people in the mountainous regions in Vietnam. I mean, if you think about it, before, they could not participate in those programs, even locally, because it was just too demanding to come to the bigger cities, and they maybe didn't know their way around. The same thing was happening here. We have people who work in rural areas in the United States, a very large country, and we have low-income people, non-native English speakers working in rural areas. And if somebody needed language training to move on to some phase in their life, such as if they'd experienced an injury on the job, they could not access those services. And so the opportunity now to be able to reach people and not have to drive 3 hours for a 1-hour class makes some things that were impossible before very possible. And I still think we all need to meet face to face and talk to each other face to face, and that's an important element that I don't think any of us are going to give up on. So I'm offering those comments, and I'd like to open just a little space if anyone wants to make a final closing comment. And I'd love to give the last word to you, Phuong, as we close.
Well, thank you very much, Patrick. I think it is a good opportunities for us to have a small discussion among the team. I mean, even with Thomas and I, we've been working together, and I think still a lot of stories to tell and to share with each other. So I'm very thankful for Patrick who have organized this one, and I really hope that after this talk we can continue to be in touch with other audience in the group. And from our side, I would be very happy if you have any questions, if you have anything that you think we may be of help. I'll be very happy to help and to connect as well. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Thomas, for joining me in this.
You're welcome, Phuong. Thank you so much. And thank you for always being willing to think outside the box and to work with us and collaborate. And I really look forward to the day where we can be in the same room together. I'm really excited about that.
Maybe in Ecuador.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
You are welcome. Yes, you are all welcome. I have just tried to look for you all on LinkedIn, but I think that's a good way to connect. But I've left my contacts here, and yes, nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too, Carla. Thank you so much. And Catherine and Jose Luis and Katrina, thank you all.
Thank you all.
Patrick, many thanks to you, Patrick.
Bye. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Hey, guys.